Hey YouTube, it's KJ. To those who are new, welcome to my channel, and for those who are a subscriber, welcome back and thank you for supporting me. My video today is something that was requested by one of my friends, and it is a suicide awareness video. And I decided to dedicate this video to my first love, who took her life back in 2016. I was very iffy about making this video because it's not something that I've ever been able to really talk about. It's still really raw for me. It has been 4 years and it feels like yesterday. So I'm gonna get into that, and I hope you guys enjoy the video. So for the first part of my video, I'm just going to give like a brief introduction into the topic before I get into like the tribute section for Talia. My personal experience with suicide and suicidal tendencies, it has affected me through people I love, but it's also affected me in ways of my own. Back in, I don't remember what year it was, but it was back when I was around 21. I checked myself into a mental hospital for help because emotionally I was struggling and I could no longer find purpose in my life. I felt like everybody was going to be better off without me. Of course, I get a call in the middle of this. I felt like everybody was going to be better off without me. And I kind of just got to the point where I felt like I was a burden. And there was no point in continuing to live a life that I was unhappy with when it was just making things harder for other people. And it takes a lot for you to get into a dark place like that where you actually feel like taking your life is the only option that you have. During that point in time, I went to my friend's house and I confided in her. And she is probably the reason why I'm still here today. I normally don't call people out by name, but I feel like she deserves to be recognized because it's thanks to her that I'm even still here. Her name's Asia Green. She told me that if I was going to leave her house, that I wasn't going to be leaving until I called and told my parents that I needed to talk to them and that I needed to get help. And she told me that she would call them herself if I didn't call. So that night, I went in voluntary, and I was in the mental hospital for 6 days. I put my job on hold and everything to get help for my mental health, and it was honestly the best thing I could have done. It's also affected me, obviously, like I said, through personal friendships and relationships. My ex-girlfriend, Talia, was my first love, and I dealt with a lot of suicidal tendencies with her throughout our relationship back when I was 16. But I was always able to talk her out of it. She finally succeeded and went through with all the things she was telling me she was going through with in 2016. I'll get more on that topic in a couple of minutes, but it's affected me. I made a video yesterday about my best friend ending up in ICU back in 2015, and that I would talk more about it in another video, and that was this video. My best friend tried to take her own life, and I'm not going to give details because that's just triggering, but fortunately, she did not succeed. But it was a very serious situation that put her in ICU and affected her emotionally and physically probably for the rest of her life. Suicide, it takes it takes your entire life away over a temporary problem. And I'm not going to be the one that sits up here and says that it's selfish. I'm not going to be the one that sits up here and says, I don't understand how you can feel like that, because I've been in that place. I've been in the mindset where I was like, this world is better off without me. But I guess what I've learned is that I don't want to give a temporary problem a permanent fix, because there's always, every time something bad in my life has happened and I've gotten in that mindset, I've always come out of it. There's always been light on the other side. And in that moment, I didn't see it. I didn't want to see it. And had I acted, I may not be a mom today. I wouldn't. I mean, not may not. If I would have acted on my impulses and allowed myself to take my life, I wouldn't have my son. I wouldn't have experienced any of the things that I was experiencing. I wouldn't have been able to be here to talk about it, to help people through it. And I guess my point in this is just like, guys, come on. Okay, anyways, sorry. Someone was outside the door and the dogs flipped out. My point in this is not that suicide is selfish or that I don't understand where you're at when you're in that moment. My point in this is just to say that if there's a way that you can avoid taking your life and fixing a temporary problem with a permanent decision, do everything you can to avoid it, because it not only affects you, but it affects everybody around you. My ex took her life 4 years ago, and it is still feeling like I just got the phone call. Like, it's been one of the most difficult issues I've ever faced in my life. And I've experienced a lot of death in my life, but this one has been like one of the hardest. And it's not just because of who she was in my life and how important she was in my life and my past and all of that. It's because I wish I could have saved her. So if there's anybody out there that feels like this is their only option, just know that there are people out there who understand that feeling, and you're not alone. And there are people who will be willing to help you through that, and people that want to see you live, to see you live to your potential. Like, there's no better way to say it than you deserve more. You deserve to live. So now I'm going to get on to the topic of Talia. I'm going to include a tribute video that I made so that you guys can see who I'm talking about and see the life that was lost and enjoy her smile just as much as I do and did. Here we go. So now that you guys have seen the tribute video and you can put a face to the name, I'm going to get into her portion of this video. This is basically about mental health. That's what the entire video is about. So I'm just going to talk about that aspect of her in the things that she had to deal with inside. So from a young age, Talia had told me, like, she experienced this depression, and like throughout our relationship, I witnessed a lot of different mental illness issues that she was facing. She had on many occasions told me that she wanted to take her own life, and I was always there to stop that. Like, I was always there to be that person that was like, you're worthy and you deserve more than this. And like, I cherish your life. But 6 months before Talia took her life, we had a falling out. And on that night, I basically begged her to stay and not to go back to the bad choices she was making, because I had just this gut feeling that I was gonna lose her. Trying not to get emotional, which is not working out, but if I cry, I'm sorry. I told Talia that night that if I ever got a call, no matter where we stood in our relationship, that I had lost her to suicide or drugs, that it would destroy me and it would change my entire life, and I would never be able to fully heal from it. And I knew that night when she left me in her driveway to go back to the bad decisions she was making, that I was going to lose her. And at that point, I had to make a selfish decision to cut her off. And the way that I did it was not the best way. I told her that I hate her, which I didn't. I hated what she did to me, but I did not hate her. And we didn't talk for 6 months. And a week before I found out she had taken her life, I had this instinct telling me, like, I needed to reach out to her. But I just told myself, like, you go through this every couple of years, like, it's not worth going down the same path and going back down that toxic road, because it's better for the both of you not to be in each other's lives. And I talked myself out of it, even though there was just this huge pull that I was feeling, just to reach out to her and tell her, like, I forgive you and I love you and I don't hate you. And I didn't act on it, and I talked myself out of it. And a week later, I got a message that Talia had taken her life. I won't give details because I know that that can be triggering. And I always thought that it wouldn't hit me the way that it actually hit me because of our past experiences together. I always thought that my anger would overpower that sadness, that heartbreak. But there was nothing in the world that could have prepared me for losing her. I was on the phone with my wife at the time, who was only my girlfriend at that point, and when I found out, I just had to hang up. Like, I told her, I can't talk right now. I didn't explain anything. I just hung up the phone, and I just fell apart. And I fell apart for weeks. At work, I would have to go in storage closets to cry just to make it through the day. I would be caring for patients because I was a CNA, and I would have to step out of the room. I still can't hear certain music and see certain things and be in certain areas without breaking down 4 years later. because losing Talia destroyed me. It did everything I told her it would do, and I have never been the same, just like I told her I would not be. And I place some guilt on myself, and I know I shouldn't do that, but I feel like had I listened to my intuition and reached out to Talia, maybe, just maybe, I could have been the person that saved her again. Maybe she would still be here to smile and laugh and love. But I couldn't save her because I didn't try hard enough. And if Talia's story means anything to anybody, just take from it the pain that the people around you would face if you did not wake up tomorrow. I'm gonna cut the video now because I really did not want to cry. But please know that there is always, always another option. And if nobody is there for you, I will be here for you because nobody deserves to die like that.